As many of you know by now, I am a dancer. Now there are many different types of dance, but there is one dance that doesn't get quite the positive attention that it deserves. The romance dance. Now, in case you didn't understand my incredibly clever metaphor, I'm talking about sex. This is a subject that has continuously been unnecessarily repressed, especially in our school system. My goal today is to hopefully open your mind to the topic of a stronger sexual education program in today's schools. All of you in this room have gone through our sad excuse of a sexual education program. It is a requirement to graduate, but I can tell you that my experience was completely uninviting. We skipped over the sexual education completely just so that our class could go bowling. We all know girls in our class who have either gotten pregnant or have had serious pregnancy scares, which is very scary for our own senior class. The lack of sexual education is a problem that every high schooler has experienced. Changing the topic of sex from a taboo to a conversation that is acceptable will help many people. Personally, I love talking about sex. Now, not in a vulgar or tasteless manner, but in a way that brings awareness to the public. I have talked to professionals before even giving the speech at the health department here in McPherson for education on this topic. I have also seen firsthand how the lack of sexual education in our school has affected our own student body. Today, I want to emphasize the problem of the inaccurate sexual education in schools and analyze the cause of these problems. Finally, I want to see how we can find steps to create a solution to the lack of sexual education in schools. Let's begin with the problem that occurs when schools have inadequate sexual education programs. Schools have been seriously lacking when it comes to teaching students about sex and sexuality. More and more schools have turned to abstinence-only programs. According to the National Conference of State Legislators, only 24 states require sex ed, and 22 say if provided that those facts must be medically accurate. If provided. This doesn't guarantee that students are even receiving these facts. Well, why is this an issue? Okay, girls, I'm going to single you out for a second. There are about 8 of you in here today, but that's perfect because 2 of you are going to get pregnant before you turn 20. And don't worry, guys, I didn't forget about you because you are less likely to seek out medical attention, which means that 9.8 million new cases of sexually transmitted infections occur each year in teenagers. Obviously, these conditions aren't ideal for anybody, and it would be simple just to tell students to wait until marriage. All of our problems would be solved. However, we all know that this is an impossible standard. Young adults should be allowed to explore their sexuality and engage in safe sex. It is imperative to feel comfortable about talking about the subject. The extent that schools go to protecting its students from the truth is ridiculous. I was unable to conduct any of my research using the school's Wi-Fi system due to the blocking of all the websites, including the legitimate health websites. As Deneen Soras states in the New York Times article, Sex Ed Belongs in Schools, one-time lectures, multi-session programs, and online resources can help supplement school-based sex education, but they do not reach most students and can't replace the systematic approach to learning. According to this, not only is the school system not giving students the most successful type of learning, but they are also not giving the students the resources they need to learn on their own. It is making the topic of sex, sexuality, and sex education a taboo. States have been known to go as far as creating shameful metaphors in order to scare kids into not having sex. I'll give you a quick example. Imagine yourself as a piece of gum. Wrapped, crisp, perfect. As soon as you partake in sexual activities, you become unwrapped, chewed up, spit out, and unwanted trash. This is honestly, actually disturbing to me. Not only are school systems shaming their students, but they are also glorifying sex, which only makes people more inclined to participate in unsafe activity. Now that we've established the problem that is happening within our school systems, let's look at what caused it. Many parents don't want their kids to be exposed by sex in schools. Contrary to my beliefs, many parents argue that sexual education in school systems have a negative effect on their children. Alexandra Sifferlin's Time magazine article compares sex ed to airbags. She states, "We don't say they're going to drink anyway, let's give them a car with bigger airbags." However, this is not what the school system will be doing by providing students with a more accurate form of sexual education. Instead of hiding the topic of sex from them and making students want to see what all of the hype is about, schools will be normalizing the topic of sex and teaching students how to participate in it safely. Many times, students don't have the adequate home life to receive proper sexual education from their parents. Relying solely on parents to teach kids about sex ed is an ineffective solution. Another reason schools have avoided the topic for so long is for religious purposes. Private schools especially practice abstinent-only sex ed due to the fact it coincides with their own personal religion. In Abstinent Behavior, a meta-analysis by Health Education Research, it provides how hard it is to find a successful case of abstinent-only education. The data showed that the rate of virgins was still low, and this means that people are still having sex and they are not receiving the proper education to participate in it safely. No matter what belief system is held, it is important to be exposed to the different forms of birth control and STD/STI preventatives. Not only does it allow students to make their own conscious decisions, but it supplies them with information they need to stay culturally apt. After going through the problem and the cause of the recent sexual education in schools, let's look at possible solutions. The best solution is to get involved. Parents and students can contact their board and pitch ideas to the school. The more accurate and sexual education program. Create a list of things you'd like to see in your own sexual education programs at the school. Donating money to the program can give it a jump start it needs to really succeed. When you become parents, create a normality of the topic of sex. Don't be afraid to get awkward and uncomfortable with your kids. Speak about it until it no longer is. By requesting support from local health departments, more students could have access to birth control and access to information about the topic. These are just some things that students, parents, and the community can do to get involved and change the issue at hand. Today we have viewed why schools' sexual education program desperately needs to be improved. We looked at how parents and religion can be some of the baseline causes. We've discovered how some solutions, as well as getting involved in order to make sexual education a better experience for everyone. Hopefully, I was able to convince you to join me in my beliefs. In order to further press my point, I brought everyone condoms. Whether you plan on having sex or not, everyone should take one. Keep it in your car or in your pocket. If you don't know how to put it on, practice, because our school sure as heck didn't teach you how. So good luck, have fun, and thank you.